Man, I feel like I'm on a little bit of a tear today. The 4 p.m. franchise tag deadline has come and gone, and we have seen 8 players receive the franchise tag. Offensive tackle Cam Robinson from the Jaguars, tight end Dalton Schultz from the Cowboys, Orlando Brown, the tackle from the Chiefs, free safety Jesse Bates of the Bengals, David Njoku of the Browns, tight end Mike Gesicki from the Dolphins, wide receiver Chris Godwin of the Bucks, and wide receiver Devonte Adams of the Green Bay Packers. So the topics today, I'm going to go over each one of these signings, what it could possibly mean for the New York Jets, and I want to talk about a few guys that might be available as far as free agents go for us, and what we should do with all our salary cap space. We're top 5 in salary cap space heading into free agency, and there's going to be a lot of conversation over what do we do? There's not really one right or wrong answer. As you guys come in, I definitely recommend you to put down some of your favorite free agents that you see hitting the market and what you think the Jets should, who they should go after. Let me know. I want to do a little bit of research on what you guys think as well. Right now, when I look at this list of franchise tag players, the first one that jumps off, to all of us, I think, is Dalton Schultz. It's the guy that pretty much every Jet fan had a man crush on the entire offseason. You had to have a hunch that the franchise tag was coming with Amari Cooper's contract in limbo, Michael Gallup coming off an ACL tear. I think it just makes sense to franchise tag him, but it's definitely a shot to the gut. And my second option as far as tight end would have been David Njoku. So him getting tagged as well, not really where I was hoping this offseason would go. That one makes probably the least amount of sense to me because Njoku, he got tagged for like $11 million. It was like $10.9 million was his franchise tag. And I'll be honest, I would have been happy getting him for $5 million. The fact that he got 10, I don't know if I would have paid him $10 million to be our tight end. I think maybe the Browns are considering trying to trade Njoku. Apparently he was the number 2 tight end on the Jets board for free agency. So maybe there's a situation where it's like a tag and trade situation. We have some picks. I don't know what I'd be willing to give up for him. I don't really want to give up a pick for Njoku considering how good this tight end class is. I'd rather roll the dice on maybe someone like an O.J. Howard. So as far as tight ends go, not a lot left. You got Everett from the Rams. You got Ertz from the Cardinals. You got Howard from the Bucks. And like I said, Howard's the one that I'd probably look at just because the contract is probably going to be pretty favorable and the upside is pretty high. Who else you got? You got Tanyan from the Packers. You got to think he probably wants to go back to Green Bay, but it's going to be a matter of how much money they actually have to spend and retain guys. I don't know. Tight end doesn't feel like something we're going to solve in free agency. This definitely feels like a draft situation, but I would like to bring in Howard for sure. Gesicki, being tagged by the Dolphins. I actually like that move because I don't think Gesicki was an option for the New York Jets. I think the way he plays is more of a big slot as opposed to an all-round tight end. And I do think that by them holding on to Gesicki, it probably makes it less likely that they try to go tight end at the back end of the first round with the 49ers pick. I believe they're sitting at pick 29. If that's the case, then maybe McBride doesn't sneak into the first round. So we got a little lucky, I think, with the Gesicki tag for sure. I mean, they're obviously going to try and utilize him in that offense with McDaniels coming over from the 49ers. So we're basically running the same offense as them. As far as the wide receivers go, Devonte Adams and Chris Godwin wind up getting franchise tagged. We did not see Mike Williams get the tag, or he got the tag and then they wound up extending him on like a 3-year, $60 million deal. So he doesn't hit the market either. But Chris Godwin's an interesting one. This is both Godwin and Adams both got the tag for the second year in a row. And the fact that it's that beneficial to tag a wide receiver twice in a row kind of shows you how screwed up the franchise tag is, because these guys are absolutely worth more money. And if I'm Chris Godwin, I'm signing that franchise tag and I'm not renegotiating a contract. It's going to be, I don't know how much it's going to be. It's about $17, $18 million. And he's recovering from an ACL tear. I love this for Chris Godwin. I don't love it for us because I would have liked to bring him in. But Godwin not hitting the market for his own sake is probably really, really good. And I think he might be more apt to go back to Tampa Bay after this season because they gave him the franchise tag and paid him a bunch of money to kind of rehab and not move. So I do like this move by the Bucs. Devonte Adams getting tagged by the Packers, obviously with Aaron Rodgers signing his extension today and staying in Green Bay, that duo really seemed to make a lot of sense. I'm sure they'll try to rework the Adams deal. I don't think they're going to want to have him strictly on the franchise tag. But we'll see. We'll see how that winds up working out. The whole Rodgers contract is going to be really squirrely because this is a lot of money. He's rumored to be 4 years, $200 million. That's a lot of money to pay your quarterback. And I don't know how much money you're going to have to spread around to the rest of your guys, especially when you're trying to win a Super Bowl. This is something that I don't really love for Aaron Rodgers, and it's a reason why, maybe he hasn't won as much as he should have won. He should have had way more than the one ring that he's got. And then we go to Jesse Bates. Jesse Bates, the free safety from the Bengals. This one kind of made sense to me. The Bengals have a ton of cap space. There's no reason to let a star free safety go, especially when you were just in the Super Bowl this past year. He was never really going to be an option for the New York Jets. I would say that Marcus Williams has kind of stayed my top preference as far as safety goes in free agency. He would be one of my first calls, I think. You got Reed down in Houston. That's going to wind up being an option. Diggs in Seattle. Who else we got? There's a few other guys possibly hitting the market as far as the safeties go. This is a position that I'm not sure. I would probably try to hit it in free agency with someone like Marcus Williams or Reed, but I'm not going to be all banged up if we don't get it because I'm fine with bringing back LaMarcus Joyner on a one-year contract. You have Ashton Davis, and then you probably take a safety in round 2 or 3. There was a few good ones that I think might wind up being there for the Jets. Scene from Georgia was filthy. You got the kid from Penn State, Jaquan Brisker. You got Petrie, another Jet favorite that was at the Senior Bowl. So a few options for the Jets at free safety. The ones that I'm more concerned about, I'm not so concerned about Orlando Brown being tagged, but Cam Robinson's an interesting one for me because I wasn't really prepared to see this one coming from the Jaguars. And the reason this is such a big deal is because I really had the Jaguars penciled in to take an offensive lineman at number 1. And if they're tagging Robinson, there's a possibility that they wind up going edge, and this could really throw a whole wrench into everything we were kind of thinking. Because if Hutchinson now goes 1 to the Jags, now maybe the Lions wind up going with either Kayvon or they go with Sauce possibly, Hamilton, who knows? It really throws a whole wrench into the beginning part of this draft. It's not as clear-cut as it once was. Now, I would say that they could still bring in Iquanu or Neal or whatever type of guard-tackle hybrid because you're still going to want to protect your quarterback and your young running back that you just took in the first round last year. But I don't know if it's necessarily a first-round need anymore. You could play those guys at guard for a year, and then if you don't re-sign Cam Robinson, almost like the way the Jets are kind of looking at it, right? Like, Becton's not going into the final year of his contract, but we're going into a year where we have to decide on his 5th-year option. So you got to know what he's kind of going to make or what he is at the end of this year. So I could understand. It's almost the same thought process that the Jets have with Becton here. Do you draft someone stupid high at the offensive line position that gives you the flexibility to have a really good offensive line, but also protects you in the event that your left tackle is no longer there in the future? So this one throws a big wrench into the game for me, and I'm not exactly sure how the draft shakes up because of this now. Now, as far as free agents that are still left, guys that I'm kind of keeping my eye on, the 2 big fish. I'll say 3. 3 big fish that I'll give you. Marcus Williams, safety from the Saints. He's someone I 100% want. I think he is one of the best safeties in the league. He gets a little bit of crap about the Hail Mary or the Fail Mary against Cousins in the playoffs, but hey, I really like him. By and large, he's been a really good safety. J.C. Jackson from the Patriots did not get franchise tagged. He's projected to, obviously hit the open market, but his contract, according to Spot Track, 5 years, $104.7 million. That's $21 million a year. Guy had 8 interceptions. He has the most interceptions in the NFL since 2018. He has the most interceptions in the NFL since 2019. And he has the most interceptions in the NFL since 2020. That's crazy. This is a guy that generates turnovers and is absolutely worth the money he's going to get. Now, as far as the Jets bringing him in and paying $21 million a year for him, I don't want to go this route anymore. I've kind of fallen in love with Sauce Gardner, and I would very much want to take him at 4. Now, the issue is with Cam Robinson getting franchise tagged, what if the Jags go with Hutchinson at 2? Maybe the Lions want to bring in the hometown native of Sauce Gardner because he's a Michigan native. Maybe they hold on to him and take him at 2, or they go with Hamilton. Now what happens with the Texans at 3? Do they try to trade out? Is it an offensive lineman? I don't know. They could trade Tunsil still, I guess. I'm not really sure where to go, but I would prefer Sauce at the top of this draft as opposed to J.C. Jackson in free agency. The one player that I really want, and it's probably my first call in free agency, and I know this is a very defensive-heavy draft. I'm well aware of that, especially at the edge rusher position. There's like 4 or 5 really good ones. And one player that I think I would try to target to allow some flexibility for the Jets to move down from that number 10 spot is Harold Landry from the Titans. He's not getting the franchise tag. He had 75 tackles last year, 12 sacks. He's only 25 years old. His projected contract from Spot Track is 4 years, $68.4 million. That's $17.1 million a year. That's right in the wheelhouse of what we paid Carl Lawson last year. Carl Lawson got 3 years, $45 million. So you figure with inflation of the salary cap and of just money in general, I guess it would make sense to see that type of contract for Landry, and I would sign up for that. I would definitely bring him in because I think he's got the bend for sure. He can play standing up or hand in the dirt. There's really no issue there. I've seen him beat some really good tackles. And the Jets have this weird conundrum of having too much money for the amount of good free agents you could bring in. It's a weird issue that we wind up running into, pretty consistently, or at least the last 2 years we've run into this, where if you have $50 million, you cut some salary, some other guys, and you wind up with like $70 million or whatever. What do you do with that in free agency? Who are you going to go out and honestly pay? Are you going to just, blow your wad and go friggin' J.C. Jackson and Harold Landry and Marcus Williams just going $60 million across 3 players? Let's fix it all in free agency. No, you're not going to do that. I mean, I don't even see Joe Douglas going out and spending $20 million on any player, let alone I don't know. Maybe I would say the edge rusher is where I would go. And then if you could get Sauce at 4, and then you trade down from 10, pick up a first next year, and then maybe take someone like a Nakobe Dean at 20, or maybe a wide receiver in a trade down. There's a few options you can go. But with Seattle now trading Russell Wilson, what happens at the top part of the draft? Does Seattle, pull a quick one and they say, hey, we're going with Malik Willis? Do they, go a completely different route? Do the Steelers trade up with the Seahawks instead? I don't know. This has been a very weird day for the New York Jets and the NFL in general. The last 24 hours, you got to think Calvin Ridley gets suspended at least for a year for gambling. That's the crazy thing. It's not even just a year. It's at least a year. You get Aaron Rodgers gets a massive contract. You get all these franchise tags. Then you get Russell Wilson traded. The NFL is second to none. This is just so fun to watch on a yearly basis. It seems like there's this carousel of players, and there's always so much for us to talk about. And it's really, really exciting. I just love this sort of stuff. So I'm going to go over to the chat. Let's take a look and see if there's any players that you guys are kind of keeping an eye on as far as players that we could bring in. Like I said, J.C. Jackson, Harold Landry, and Marcus Williams would be the 3 guys that I'm really looking at here. Let's see. I'm going to move this up a little bit. I guess I should move it down. We'll go like this. Devin says, I hope the Jets attack guard and receiver in free agency and can draft best available player at 4 and 10. Yeah, I'm the same boat. I want to go with Laken Tomlinson from the 49ers at guard, and I want to go with a center. I would like to boot McGovern out of here, and I'd like to go after Bozeman from the Ravens, I think. That would probably be my choice, because he's still pretty young. But yeah, I completely agree. I would like to go guard, receiver, safety. Edge is kind of like, I'm sort of in that weird boat of like, I don't mind not going edge in free agency, but I do think the fact that Landry is hitting free agency, he's worth a swing at least. And if he doesn't come here, then you have a good backup plan. Matt Curtis says, Ertz and McBride, please. I'd sign up for that all day. Curly says, I wouldn't trade for Njoku. No, I wouldn't either. It would have to be like a late pick, like a 5th. And even then, I don't even really know I want to do that. Let's see. Daniel Quigley says, Cowboys reworked some contracts so they'll be able to hold on to Cooper if they want and wait for a better trade proposal. I don't know. I think they have to cut him before like the 3rd day of the new league year. I think that's what it is. Hold on. Let me pull up Cooper's contract real quick. There's some kind of weird like contingency in it. It's like a one-time out sort of thing. Yeah, so by March 22nd, $20 million of his salary becomes fully guaranteed. So they have to trade him by March 22nd. So they may wait and see where guys kind of go, but if guys start signing, elsewhere, maybe that sort of limits their trade options. Like if the Jets go out and get Allen Robinson, we're not trading for Amari Cooper, and I would love to get Amari Cooper, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I don't think the Cowboys are in as bad a shape, but I definitely still think Cooper's gone. Ghost Rider drops in with a super chat, says, Ryan, salute. Do you think J.C. Jackson is a legit player we can add? I love J.C. Jackson, and if Joe Douglas wants to spend the $20 million, I think he would come here because you have a defensive-minded head coach in Robert Saleh, and you get to go against the guy that didn't franchise tag you and didn't re-sign you in the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick. So there is a little bit of me that thinks that division rivals do like jumping teams so they can kind of stick it to their previous team. So I think the Jets are in play, but I don't see Douglas spending that kind of money when we have 2 really high picks. So I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing it, but I'm not entirely sure it's very realistic coming from Joe Douglas. Travis B says, can we agree not to go through free agency list before tags are applied? Oh, that's no fun. Then I can't make any mock-off seasons, right? Whatever. We just got to live with it. Wind up with a disappointment. This is why everything has to be built through the draft. Ishmael says, who are we saving money for? Spend it all. I think we should re-sign our own guys. Bring back Berrios. Bring back Foley Fatukasi. If you think he's a scheme fit. If you say he's not a scheme fit, then maybe you go a different route. But I think you retain your own guys. I think it shows good team morale. I think it absolutely encourages guys to perform the way you want them to perform in your system and act the way they act in your locker room. But yeah, look, go spend some money. Go out and get some guys. But I think Joe Douglas is going to be smart about it. Braden, why wouldn't Seahawks run with Drew Lock for a year and get a quarterback in 2023 draft? I do think that's probably where they go. I don't think they're going to draft a quarterback. It doesn't seem like a move they would make. Could they wind up trading for a Deshaun Watson or something like that? I guess they could. For me, if you're getting rid of Russell Wilson, I don't think you're trading for an established quarterback. And then I also don't know... You know what? At the same time, maybe they would trade because I can't see Pete Carroll hanging around and going through an entire rebuild again. This just feels like a very bad move for, I think he's the oldest coach in the NFL. It's him or Belichick. So I don't know. I think they're going to go for a quarterback in 2023, but I think it would make sense for them to almost move on from Pete Carroll. It's kind of a weird situation they kind of find themselves in. Revolution says trade 10 for DK Metcalf. I would do that. Absolutely. I don't think Seattle would do that. But I would do that. Although now I think I'm probably more on board with I would try Cooper first before I try Metcalf. And Metcalf's phenomenal. Don't get me wrong, but I'd rather Cooper and draft the receiver in the second than trade the 10th pick for Metcalf when I really want to take Sauce and I really want to get an edge rusher. So it kind of depends on who you get in free agency. So we'll see. Tyler says, definitely going to have to draft McBride at 35 or 38. All the good free agent tight ends are gone. Might be able to double dip in the draft at tight end, maybe. Yeah, I agree. I think we should double dip at tight end. I'd prefer like Howard plus McBride. That would be my preference, or Howard plus Ruckert, or maybe some combo there. If you want to throw in another late round tight end, I'm okay with that. Or maybe you just go the undrafted free agent route at that point. Socrates says, I think people are underestimating center. Really important for quarterback development and O-line gelling together. All for Linderbaum in a trade up from the second round into late first, or trade down from 10, boot McGovern to guard. I wouldn't hate this. It depends how free agency goes. If you wind up solving guard in free agency, and now maybe you go, let's say you get Sauce Gardner at 4 or 10, you get your edge rusher at 4 or 10, and then Linderbaum is falling to like the mid-20s or so. Maybe, you get, I don't know who you would trade up with. Maybe you trade up with the Dolphins. I guess you can't really trade up with the Dolphins. They're in the division. But I would say if you could move up, giving up your second round pick and maybe a fourth round pick or something along those lines, then yeah, I'm okay with that, because you have to determine what you want to do at tight end too, because I don't want to move up for Linderbaum if we need to grab a tight end in the second round. But if they're like, hey, third round tight end is totally fine with us, you see plenty of really good tight ends go in the fourth round and everything, then maybe that's the route you wind up going. And I wouldn't mind. I like Linderbaum. I actually, if you go over to Green Bean's channel, we did a mock late last night, and we wound up with Linderbaum at 35. We were stunned that he fell that far. I don't see him falling that far, but if he does, I wouldn't hate it, because I do agree with you. I do really want him, but it's just trying to figure out how you get him. That's really the head scratcher. Zach Wilson's burner says, I want to go out and recover a receiver and a tight end in free agency, then get defense for the draft, trade for a 6th or 5th, and draft a kicker. I don't really want to draft a kicker, I'll be honest. I kind of want to avoid that at all costs. Let's see. Mike Jerome, thank you for the super chat, brother, says, oh, how the tone has changed. It happens every year. Grab Robinson, Tomlinson, Reed, Lucan? I have no idea who that is. Ertz or Everett. At 4, you grab Thibodeau or Walker. I would prefer Walker. 10, you grab Sauce or trade down. I really want Sauce, and I really hope he's there. Sauce at 10 is really what I would like. I just am afraid that he won't make it that far. Let's see. Sauce at 10 or trade down. 35 McBride, 38 safety, 68 Wandale or Watson. I would take Watson. I don't like Wandale personally, and there's a few other running backs that I do really like. I actually like the kid from Georgia. I think he's really good. And I also like the kid from, what was I looking at the other day? I don't remember who it was. Cook is. I like Cook though a little bit later. I think it's Cook, whoever the Georgia running back is. We'll see. Look, I don't mind it. I like Tomlinson. I like Robinson. Robinson, you have to be a little concerned about, but I think price-wise, he's going to fall right in round, or right around where we kind of are hoping to pay someone. Let's see. Daniel Quigley says, haven't heard much chatter on Christian Kirk, but he's a free agent, just 25 years old. Nice wide receiver if we don't get any top-tier guys. I like Christian Kirk a lot. I wouldn't mind this signing. I think he's a really good route runner, and he's got some blazing speed. I don't know what we're looking for a receiver. Are we looking different from what we have, or are we looking for more of the same of what we have? Because that's kind of an honest question. Are we just going short routes? I mean, I still would like someone that could kind of blow the top off of a defense, and Kirk definitely has the speed to kind of do that. I don't know. It's fascinating. I don't want to go into the draft without a wide receiver, and it kind of makes me feel uneasy. Dennis says Sauce Gardner better be the 4th pick. Got to get McBride with our first second round pick. I would sign up for that. I think Sauce is worth every bit of the 4th pick. Delusional Jets fan says DK worth a late first rounder with his current contractual situation and talent put into evaluation. I think DK is worth 2 first-round picks. I really do. Probably 2 late first-round picks. And if you want to make the argument for just number 10 straight up, I think there's probably an argument because I think number 10 is worth like the same as 227 overall picks. I don't know. I don't love DK. I like DK. I love the talent. But I don't necessarily. I don't know. It depends what it would take to get him. If we had to give up 10, I'd probably do it. Got to make sure that your quarterback is the guy, and DK would certainly do that. MetLife, section 327. Yo, what's up? No friggin' way. Is that? Hold on. I'm pretty sure. MetLife, section 325. Were you also Giants Stadium, section 325? Like second to last row or third to last row? Because you look damn familiar, and I'm almost positive I sat behind you when we had tickets. I don't know. Let me know. I'm curious to see if that's true. Nobody is talking about DJ Shark. Younger, taller, faster than Robinson. Seems like a better call. Yes, I do like Shark a lot. I would be all on board with that move. ACL tear. I think it was an ACL tear. Definitely would not mind it. Wouldn't mind it in the slice. But man, I'm like a solid 35% sure that's you. Sorry. Very cool, though. Nice to see some familiar faces. I can't remember your damn name, though. That's what's driving me bonkers. Sat right in front of you, your dad. Yes! I knew it. I thought so. God, I can't remember the name. I'm so sorry. As soon as I saw the picture, though, I knew it was you. Oh, God, that makes me feel good. That's cool. All right, what else we got going on? Robbie Oak says, Lucan sounds like the name. He's probably talking about Alucon, the linebacker from Atlanta. That makes sense. Robbie Oak, thank you for that. Yeah, there's Braden. Foysaid Alokun. Five through 9. Go likely would draft Sauce. Oh, who would likely draft Sauce? I think the Falcons are the one that might do it. So you figure Seattle might go edge rusher. They might go quarterback. They might try to trade down for someone coming up to get a quarterback. The Giants, with their 2 picks, I really think one of them is going to be an edge rusher, and I really think one of them is probably going to be a offensive lineman. That's where I think they go with their 2 first-round picks. So I don't think they're really a threat, although if they trade Bradbury, you never know. They could wind up, bringing Sauce in. The Panthers, I think, are going offensive line. They just drafted J.C. Horn last year. I don't see them double-dipping at corner in the first round. The Falcons, it depends if they are looking receiver. Like now that the whole Ridley thing threw everything for a loop because I would have said they were a threat to take Sauce at one point, and now I'm feeling a little more confident in letting him slide to 10. But man, I'd be so burnt up if he got drafted like just ahead of us. I want to see him in green and white next year. Alex says, personally, I don't think I would trade 10 for DK. You can get Garrett Wilson at 10, who is younger and think has more potential. I don't have to pay him for a little while longer. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting area to kind of consider. I like Garrett Wilson a lot. I think there's a chance he goes 9. I think there's also a chance that the Browns trade up and get him, which I'm okay with, because if the Browns move up to get a receiver, it means someone else is falling down to us, because I don't ideally want to take receiver at 10, but I wouldn't hate it either. Edward Ziff drops in with Super Chat, says, just get Robbie Anderson. No, I don't love Robbie Anderson. I don't want him back. Mike Jerome drops in with the Super Chat. Thanks, Mike. He says, Allen Robinson is an elite route runner, perfect for offense, and Zach, watch his tape. Super Chats should get you spots in future giveaways. Ooh. Interesting. I could consider doing something like that. I want to work something out a little bit better. I'd like to kind of revamp the membership tier a little bit. Maybe I'll do something with that. But what's cool is if you are a member of the channel, like you join the membership tier, it's like $2, $5, or $10, I think is what it is. You still get access to all the emojis, but you actually get, every month, you get basically one free super chat kind of a thing. I just learned this the other day, and I accidentally ignored a few of them by mistake. Like leading up to this, like probably in the last like month or so. So I apologize. The real Utah Jazz of New Jersey, talking Jets on tonight. Yeah, you damn right it is. It's going to be me, O'Leary, Green Bean, and Ali from Loyal NY Jet fans. So we're going to be talking about all that good stuff. Juan Pablo says, if we can get outside linebacker Landry for me, fits well and can give us room to take best player available in the draft. Yes, I would very much want to get Landry. I think I would try to extend him an offer of 4 years, like $70 million, something in that range, right around the $17, $18 million a year. He's 25 years old. You're going to have him for a while. And then you never know how Lawson's going to recover. I'm pretty sure you can get out of Lawson's contract after this year. So it doesn't necessarily prevent you from going with an edge rusher at the top of the draft. I mean, I would think you'd want to go a different direction and go with a guy with maybe some upside in like the second or third round then. But obviously you hope Lawson comes back to full health. Landry looks like he's a beast, and then you're kind of in a good spot there. Curly says, you think Russell Wilson deal done and Watson moves soon? I'm thinking he goes to Philly, Washington, or Carolina. I was literally just talking to my brother about this. Those were the 3 teams I said he would most likely go to. I think Washington, personality-wise, fits with Schneider, and I think he's a piece of shit, and I think Watson's, allegedly a piece of shit, and I think he could definitely go that way. Carolina, I think they are stuck with Sam, and I think they do want to bring Watson back. Obviously, the Clemson product, that's going to be a very popular, I shouldn't say popular, but I think it would be popular if the Chargers wind up getting dropped. And I think that's probably where Carolina sits on this. I kind of get the feeling that Carolina's in a holding formation until next year. Philly, with the 3 first-round picks, seems like they are in the best position to be able to go out and get Watson. Now, with Hurts on their roster, I'm not sure I'm necessarily thinking they should do that. But I do think Philly is kind of a shitty city, and I don't want to say shitty player, but if Watson winds up going there, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to shake up the draft for sure, especially with all these picks changing hands. I like trades. Trades are exciting because they're so sudden. They're real fast. Friggle D, there's good tight ends in the mid-rounds of this draft, really good ones. JD should target Uzma and Durham Smith in free agency and take a tight end in rounds 3 or 4. Yeah, 3 or 4 is the sweet spot for a tight end. Like McBride, if you fell in love with McBride and he's there in the second round and you want to take him, I'm okay with it. But I definitely think those resources, like if ideally in my head, I might want Ruckert in the 3rd versus McBride in the 2nd. Now, if you think McBride falls to the 3rd, green light, go do it. I think you're going to have to pull the trigger on him in the 2nd if you do really want him. Here's a good one. Sean Mcallister. If Watson goes, it'll be to Pittsburgh, but I think he's stuck in Texas for now. The Steelers are a good team to go to because that team is absolutely loaded and ready to go now, and it seems like they were in on the Aaron Rodgers potential talks to go out and get him. I could see it. I could see Tomlin, trying to give Watson a second chance. It'd be interesting. I don't know if... I think they would have to get dropped. Chargers would probably have to get dropped for them to make that move because I think the Steelers are a pretty proud organization, and I don't know if they want to bring that type of headache potentially into their situation right now. Let's see. Frank Pagan, I just created crying Jamal Adams type photo with one of your Facebook videos. LOL, I think you're going to get a good laugh. Send it to me. I think I have to look. I just created crying. Send it to me. I'm curious to see what it looks like. Real Utah Jazz says, it's looking like Hamilton will fall to 10. You have to pull the trigger. If he falls to 10, I'm okay with it. I don't particularly want him at 4, though. And it depends if you get your edge rusher already. Jesse says, after these tags, safety has to be our big free agent signing. Would consider signing 2 safeties, mid-tier guys, and other positions and address everything else in the draft. I would say safety, Marcus Williams and Reed are the two guys I would try to go after, but I would definitely go after Harold Landry and DJ Shark. Those are kind of probably the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, you could throw J.C. Jackson in there too. You probably can't do multiple guys like that, but I do think, safety should be a priority for sure. All right, that was a good little stream right there. I'm gonna go make something to eat. I'm getting hungry. We got Talking Jets on later tonight, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Make sure you check that out. I also released my top 5 favorite risers for the New York Jets from the Combine, my 5 fallers or stock down guys. And then I'm actually working on 2 more edits for videos that'll probably wind up coming out tomorrow. But guys, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for hanging out and hanging with the stream. My name's Ryan. This has been Jets Talk. Jets.